Hello everyone. Röki is a game by a British game studio, but it's inspired by Scandinavian folklore and fairy tales. Well, you know how much I love those. Obviously the game was of interest to me. I liked the look of it. It's a point-and-click puzzle adventure game. It has a heartwarming but not soppy story about family. It took me about 10 hours to complete it, and that was doing everything, trying to get all the badges, which also translate into trophies on PlayStation. I played it on my old PlayStation 4 and it ran just fine. We start out the normal day with Tove looking after her little brother Lars, who is a bit of a handful, and Dad gently snoring in the background. There is no mum around, and that is one of the issues you will find out about as you play the game. There are only little snippets of voice acting, as you've probably already noticed, little sighs and grunts and giggles. Voice acting is, of course, always a budget decision, unfortunately, but as always I need to say the game's immersion would have probably gone through the roof with real full voice acting. You are introduced to the basics of how to interact with objects and make stuff happen, and the transition from what was obviously a PC game has been made pretty well, quite neatly, like you drag an item onto the object you wanted to interact with. It's a comfortable and easy solution on a console. Upstairs, Tove tries to get Lars to go to sleep. Ha! He wants a story, so she decides to read him his favourite one, the one that their mother always liked too. And of course you realise that there's going to be a connection there to what happens. Learning about the forest creatures and seeing the illustrations is really helpful for what happens in the game and what you need to recognise. In fact, this picture book right at the beginning tells you the complete story background, but I was too eager to dive into the game to remember much about it, which was a blessing in disguise, I guess. In the middle of the night, Lars is desperate for a pea, code red, and Tove calls him, as she always does, little Tomte, who are the little kobolds in northern folklore. To the outhouse we go, and we're introduced here to the diary, which gives you a really detailed rundown of everything that happens. Very good. The moon is up, it's eerie, and you have to understand that to Lars, the fairy tale creatures are real. That's very important for the story. Here the story now takes off in earnest. We have a full-blown monster attack, and things get worse from here on out. I will now skip much faster through events, both to compress the story but also to try and avoid any significant plot lines. A short reprieve, but downstairs things do not look better. And Dad is sleeping through it all. We obviously now need to craft some item to use against the monster. And never forget about collectibles for your journal, even while there's a marauding monster about. Oh, but there is. There is.
Papa!
The solution was obvious, a bottle with a rag stuffed in it. I think she used the highly potent spirit from Dad, and a bit of fire. They managed to escape. There's a long puzzle sequence in the basement to do that. Now they face having to make their way through the dark forest at night. The adventure starts here, and what an adventure it is. There is an exhilarating, fast sled ride all the way down the mountain. But then something really strange happens. Lars was taken by Röki, and the story becomes Tove's struggle to get her brother back, and to figure out in the process what on earth is really going on here. Nope, I'm not telling you one bit. It's a good story. You have to find out for yourself. And this is where the real adventure... wait, I think I've said that before. It's a great world to explore and to find out about. I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Röki. This area becomes your hub, the portal clearing. Tree eyes? Did the other tree have eyes like this, or did the ravens?
You see us, human child?
Yes, you're real?
We are the tree of many, child.
This tree is obviously highly important. It opens up a system of fast travel via waypoints with various other trees. So Tove is obviously receiving some bad news here. She can't just travel back through the portal again. It ain't as easy as that. She has a real quest on her hands.
If you help the forest, it may help you in return. If you can look beyond your fear.
I'll now jump straight into one of the very early puzzles where you're helping a troll, Trollhilde, by extracting some dagger that's stuck in her side. This is one of the very, very few quibbles I have with the game and the art style. I just don't feel Trollhilde is quite right, especially that wobbly nose of hers. But I guess it really might appeal to children. Trollhilde is immensely grateful, and that is very important for the story because you'll be trekking forwards and backwards again to solve the puzzles and bring the quest forward while sidetracking an awful lot.
Lars?
Here, Tove discovers an opening that is blocked. Much later in the story, we'll be able to remove that stone and have that shortcut, but not yet. If you are keen on collectibles, you need to stray off the regular path to find hidden away those special items. Here's another easy to figure out task. It becomes a lot more difficult later on. The puzzles slowly ramp up. Tove takes some pebbles from her inventory and scares the ravens away. Note that without helping Trollhilde and being invited into her cave, you would not have found those particular pebbles there. So everything links up with each other, and you can't just skip a particular quest or puzzle. You see clearly the theme of family here, and also of nature out of balance, needing to be restored. In between, we get scenes of a very different nature. This is, you will recognize him, Röki, with Lars ball-chained sitting beside him. And I won't go into any further details here because these scenes are really at the heart of the story and the mystery. They are very good, sometimes edge of your seat, and also incorporate occasionally a small puzzle action sequence. Chapter 2 is enormous. You can see the number of locations there you need to find and unlock, and then do all the searching for items, the puzzles, the little side quests there. It was by far the most time-consuming, but let that not deter you. What you do in Chapter 2 forms the basis of much else that follows. Please be sure to talk to the frog statue in the other troll's home. This is, of course, hilarious. Well, I think so. And it leads to yet another quest. The giant Yule Cat is one of the many characters from the picture book we were shown at the beginning of the game. And I just loved the stories woven around these mythical creatures. Here is a lovely sequence with Tove completing a simple puzzle of cooking some porridge. Obviously she had to find the porridge in a previous location. The porridge is intended for a little Tomte, one of those kobolds. He's so delighted with the porridge, he's going to help Tove fix the grindstone, which she obviously needs to sharpen her dagger or knife. Otherwise she can't cut down those nasty, stinging, attacking vines. You can see from these examples I'm showing you that the puzzle and story elements are really excellently intertwined. And here are the fruits of our labour. Let's slice and dice and open up a new path. Tove is now travelling into the mountains. Sometimes she comes across these petrified trolls. And the story leaves us with a few small mysteries that don't have an explanation, and that in itself is satisfying too. Tove is now travelling into wolf country, one of the 4 important animals that define her journey stages: the wolf, the bear, the stag, and the final one is the raven. In the wolf castle, she now faces a bigger puzzle with movable wolves. I actually got stuck on that one until Poodlepa walked in, took one look and said, "You got to line up the wolves with the shadows on the walls, just so." This is the second part of the wolf puzzle, and this one gets quite tricky. Well, I thought so. We have various star signs here on the obelisks. We need to work out which one it is we need to reproduce. And then we have the old multiple disc rotating puzzle to solve. That is the beautiful theory. I then spend a long time running around, rotating discs, lining them up with the star sign. Oh yes. And I felt real good after that. There is lots more to explore in this area, more puzzles to solve before we get to the all-important wolf guardian. Tove has discovered Fossegrimm's cave, and he, of course, has a puzzle, and it's not really an easy one. The important thing is that with later puzzles, you often gain a special skill. Fossegrimm says he can give me the power to play music so well I could even make water dance. I just have to charge up 3 thirsty stones, bring an instrument to enchant and an offering of food. He said to take the thirsty stones to 3 powerful springs in the forest. He didn't say where to find the springs, but he did give me this clue. One that was large but now small, one that was clean but now tainted, and one that hides a tragic secret long forgotten. The game gives you some complex tasks, but it does explain them well, with some riddles sometimes, and a fair number of hints to keep you going so you don't get frustrated. We now have an important delivery to make. Little Krokelings back to... Get little Krokelings out of our bag and put them back in the pond. Except I don't have all 3 yet, so I need to return. Tove has wandered over to the mysterious pond because she's looking for sopor lilies. But guess what happens when she picks the flower? We have wakened the greatly feared Nokken. Oh no, he has taken Tove underwater. Before we find out her fate, there is another scene with Röki. Meanwhile, Tove has to find her way out of the fairly complicated Nokken dungeon. She finds the wolf staff there, so can finally head to the Wolf Guardian. Please, I'm Tove. I think you're sick.
Why does a human girl cub presume to tell me how I am?
You must feel it on your snout and all over you. I think it's a Nattamare parasite.
A small creature of chaos ensnare a yetun. Growl. My snout, the pain.
If you'd let me, I can try to remove it. I'm just a tiny human cub. I can't hurt you.
True. If you try, I could consume you in one bite.
Oh, I'll take my chances.
So be it. You are brave for a human.
Tove now needs to remove the parasite, which is quite straightforward because the game basically always tells you what to do. And after helping the Guardian, this is now when the game segues into a very important dreamlike sequence. It takes us back to the past. Each of these sequences, there will be more as you go through the game, will highlight one of the problems the family is having. Problems that have deeply embedded themselves in Tove's life up to the present. And this is really where the emotional heft of the game comes from. I won't show you too much of this or any of the other sequences because you might want to play the game for yourself, and this really is the heart of the matter. Each of these dreamlike memory sequences involves solving a somewhat more elaborate puzzle, and I found these very satisfying without being overly complex either. Tove is confronted with issues of how our memories can get twisted and are sometimes strangely unreliable. And she has to make a determined effort to try and get to the bottom of it all. We are finished here with the Wolf Guardian and now need to be on our way to find the next guardian animal, solving a variety of quests and puzzles along the way. Tove notices that the sickness is spreading. This is the parasites that are infesting everything, and she obviously has to find a way to stop this. We're back in the churchyard. I haven't shown you this previously. I did quite a lot of exploration there early on, but wasn't really able to solve most of the puzzles there. There is a historical connection. You need to inspect all the gravestones, and the information on one of them in particular will be needed much later on to solve a very important problem. This is one of the puzzles I can only really tackle now because I've got the sharpened dagger. That bell needs to come down, and you'll see why in a moment. All the way down again. Yes, a slide or lift would have been nice. Tove now finds herself in a creepy old crypt with lots of cobwebs. Yikes! Yep, there is another puzzle with tablets that have to be slotted into the right cavities. Hey, we're pretty good at this sort of thing now. There's a beautiful and not too difficult puzzle featuring the night sky and the stars. There is an obvious connection here to the 4 guardian animals. If you think about star constellations, and I hope you know them. So Tove runs towards the next animal realm. I hope you can see in the distance already the outlines indicating that this is the kingdom of the great guardian bear.
Whoa.
Tove needs her trusty dagger to clean off the cobwebs from the horn, and the task ahead is familiar by now, cleaning off the parasites. I won't show you much from now on. I'm compressing the story because I don't want to give too much away. Tove finds herself in a terrible predicament here. She's been captured by a giant spider and has been rolled up ready for food, together with the chief Tomte, who faces the same fate. Tove is about to give up, but there always is a way with huge spiders, as we know from the Peter Jackson movie of Lord of the Rings. Tove has made a friend of Chief Tomte, just as she did with Trollhilde and others, and they were the key to solving the puzzles. But here is Widow Drau. Be silent, morsels. She fears the light. So there's our clue for overcoming this dreadful adversary. This is one of the more extensive puzzles of the later part of the game, and it had me scratching my head quite a bit and running backwards and forwards. But in the end, when it all came together, I thought, wasn't that difficult really? So that's always a good sign, I think. There is a bit of rock climbing involved in this particular segment, which slows you down just a little bit. But overall, I'm just showing you a few little clips from this puzzle. It's a great sequence, especially with the spider taunting and threatening you in between all the time. So now we just angle the light upwards and bingo. As you've probably worked out by now, the tricky bit in this puzzle is to force the spider to go up and up in stages. You've only got so many mirrors and brackets which you need to arrange in a particular order. Then as you get to the next stage, you have to dismantle them and, take them up higher and figure it out again. And you know when you're doing the right thing because the spider goes up and complains, and when it's able to come down again, you know that you've somehow missed a step somewhere. Once you've got Widow Drau seeking refuge over on the right rock, you've got her in the position you need. And that was for trying to eat me, says Torve. And finally, we can also free the Tomte. Thank you, Trollhilde, for that dagger. It's cute how they make themselves so small. Tomte. Once you've rescued all the Tomte and they're lined up by the exit door, the Tomte will now help Torve get out of this place. You will recognise by now the ongoing theme of helping people make friends, and they will help you in return. It's just done with such lovely inventive touches that I think both children and adults will enjoy it.
Oh, tack.
And we are back with the Bear Guardian. Safe. Or are we? Oh no, it's like I'll be back from the Terminator. There's only one creature strong enough to deal with Widow Drau, but how to wake the Bear Guardian? He's out for the count. Torve knows what she has to do, but it takes her quite some time convincing Jotunbjörn that her intentions are true. Torve manages to persuade the bear to let her examine him for the parasite. Torve removes the parasite and is promptly transported back to another scene about her family. Her home has been transformed. It's very strange indeed. And then, suddenly, Torve is reduced to tiny Tomte size and needs to navigate through another series of puzzles. I'm not going to show you any of this any further because this is at the heart of the story, what the whole game is all about. Jotunbjörn gives Torve some vital information, and she now knows what the next destination of her journey will be. Torve emerges from the bear lair, and as you can see, it was a secret passage underneath the church. Everything in this game links up and loops back beautifully. We use one of the waypoints to travel through the tree. You do need to remember the various icons for the different locations and quickly choose our new destination. So we're back at the poisonous pond and mushroom area where the fungus has taken rampant control. And here we are, a poison pond with a little frog, a Krokeling, sitting there. Well, we know what to do. Lobster pot ahoy! Krokeling, like all teenagers, is not too convinced of this. He was enjoying his adventure, but no, he has to return to Mama. You ate them! Oh, don't be so shocked. They'll be fine. They need to learn their lesson. But I'll let them out again in a few months. Well, okay then. Anyway, about that hair, a deal's a deal, right? Yes, I suppose it is. And there is the precious hair from the beard of the great Kroke. We finally have it. Okay, we just need to cut it. And Kroke Mama signs off with a trimmed beard. In the poisoned forest, we need to get a sample of the fungus, the Nattabloom. In order to reach that area, we need to do a little bit of magic with some mushrooms. And it's rather cool once you've figured it out. There are various areas you need to get around like this. I'm just showing this one example. We now need to go to a different area, and to be able to pass through that entrance, we need the mask of invisibility. That was crafted earlier in Shroomi's laboratory, so Tove can now swap between being visible and invisible, and later will add other masks and skills to her inventory in order to solve all these tasks. You may have gleaned by now that the puzzles have got quite a bit more involved and complex, so it's important to be patient and take your time and make sure you find all the ingredients that are needed for the various puzzles. We are back in Shroomi's laboratory for the next task. So Shroomi needs ever more difficult to obtain items. And the last of the Nattabloom. And it all goes into the big pot. At last, it is ready! So this poison will work on the blight fungus? Yes, but you will need to deliver it deep for it to take hold. Save the stag and find your brother. To be able to apply the poison effectively, we spread it on the dagger. Now it's sharp and poisonous. I better be careful. Now this should be straightforward with the poison dagger, shouldn't it? You watch what happens.
Yes!
home, and even stranger than last time. What is growing all over this place? Who would want to eat a bag of fertilizer? You know by now that this is another deep puzzle about the family and what's ailing it, and we're creeping ever closer to understanding what kind of catastrophe occurred.
You're Tove, aren't you, human?
You know me? And you're awake?
I never slept. I saw it coming. I did not stop it. I saw you coming too. It is my curse. I see all that may tip the balance, but my wisdom has left me.
What are you talking about?
Jotun Hjort reveals a lot of insight to Tove, but now it is time for action.
This is a wonderful scene coming up right in the portal circle. I will leave you to experience that for yourself. Lars, I'm coming to you. Hold on. Then we'll find Papa. I have to believe he's out there. So Tove believes that her Papa did not die in that terrible conflagration which Röki caused. And there is Papa, Henrik, alive. This came as a big surprise to me, also that I am now playing as Henrik.
Tove!
Not Tove anymore.
Lars!
He has no memory of what happened.
Tove?
Memory fragments are returning. He now discovers the sled tracks. How did she get it down? Smart girl. You probably took Lars to the village through the forest. This now is the beginning of the final chapter, which is quite different from the others. So I hope to see you in part 2 for the conclusion of this adventure.